I see no reason why Smelling think that he should regain his title. I will take care of him on night June the 22nd.
The founder of the golden age of boxing, the icon who mapped out the noble art and unified it forever, combined raw power with pinpoint accuracy and dazzling footwork, along with an uncanny ability to read his opponents. Nicknamed the Brown Bomber due to the destructive force of his punches, he sits atop the list of the greatest heavyweight champions of all time. During the era of racial segregation and the ongoing World War, he became a focal point as one of the most influential figures in sports, politics, and society. How did he succeed in becoming a national hero at the peak of racism? How did he manage to make people buy tickets to his fights amid the global crisis and the Great Depression? And why did he provoke Hitler's rage and fuel his madness? Exciting details about the story of the icon Joe Louis. Stay tuned. Boxing is one of the most historic and richest sports, with a vast number of stars who left a lasting impact and an immortal mark on humanity across different eras. Joseph Louis Barrow was born on May 13, 1914, in a marginalized slum in Lafayette, Alabama. He lost his father, a simple farmer, at a young age, prompting his mother to remarry and move to Detroit, Michigan, after her new husband found work in the emerging auto industry. At the age of 13, Louis's mother enrolled him in violin lessons to keep him away from neighborhood kids who leaned toward crime. However, Louis used that time to pursue his own passion, boxing, after accompanying a neighbor's son to a gym. Instead of paying for violin lessons, he began paying for boxing training, eventually shortening his name from Joseph Louis Barrow to Joe Louis so his mother wouldn't find out. In his early days, Joe Louis was not an extraordinary talent, just an ordinary young man learning from mistakes and losses against obscure boxers. However, it didn't take long for his hands to experience a breakthrough, rapidly improving his skills as he mastered the fundamentals and developed his own unique style. Louis turned professional in 1934, overwhelming opponents with his direct, powerful punches and devastating combinations. He introduced a new and different fighting style for his time: natural power combined with refined fundamentals, lightning-fast execution of multiple punches in a short time, and excellent footwork positioning. Footwork would later become the secret to the success of many boxers who recognized its value and focused on developing it, just like punches. On June 25, 1935, in front of a crowd exceeding 60,000 spectators in the Bronx, the 21-year-old Louis faced the towering Italian giant Primo Carnera. Carnera was no ordinary boxer. He was a true giant, standing over 2 meters tall and weighing more than 120 kilograms, with bulging muscles and crushing punches. Just before facing Louis, Carnera's previous opponent had died 5 days after their fight due to the heavy blows. Louis, standing at 1.86 meters and weighing 97 kilograms, defied the glaring physical disparity with his superior technique, wiping the floor with Carnera before knocking him out with a technical knockout in the 6th round. With this victory, Louis killed 2 birds with 1 stone. He gained worldwide fame through headlines about his demolition of the giant and moved closer to the world title, which had been denied to black fighters for 29 years since Jack Johnson's reign. However, the white establishment conspired to prevent another black boxer from reaching that level, until Louis broke the rule. On June 19, 1936, Louis faced his biggest challenge yet, former world champion, Germany's Max Schmeling. Schmeling was the first European champion in history to hold the heavyweight title, but Louis, due to his previous victories and growing fame, became overconfident, spending more time playing golf and attending parties than training. Schmeling was no ordinary boxer. He was a symbol of Aryan supremacy for Nazi Germany, granting him privileges most boxers didn't have at the time, such as a film projector. Schmeling used this device to study his opponent's weaknesses, a groundbreaking tactic in boxing that worked, as he discovered major flaws in Louis's style. During the fight, the experienced German humbled Louis's arrogance, knocking him out in the 12th round of a 15-round bout. Schmeling had identified a critical flaw. Louis lowered his hands when throwing lead punches instead of protecting his face, allowing Schmeling to land relentless blows that ultimately left Joe battered. Upon his return to Germany, Schmeling was hailed as a hero, with crowds chanting his name, reinforcing Hitler's propaganda about Aryan superiority. Despite this crushing defeat, Louis ironically moved closer to the title than ever before. The reigning champion, James Braddock, grew more confident and gave Louis a title shot, believing he was now an easy target, after previously avoiding him. Braddock's condition for accepting the fight was harsh. He demanded 10% of Lewis's earnings for the next 10 years. This marked the first time a black man had fought for the heavyweight title since Jack Johnson. In a stunning upset, Joe Louis became the new world champion after knocking out Braddock with a crushing right hand in the 8th round. He then officially demanded a rematch with Max Schmeling. On June 22, 1938, with the world on the brink of World War II, the highly anticipated rematch took place. Given the political tensions, with Schmeling representing Nazi Germany, the fight transcended sports, becoming a political clash. Germans and Americans alike gathered around their radios, emptying the streets as millions anxiously awaited the outcome. Louis entered the fight with immense power and sharp focus, his punches so devastating that Schmeling winced in pain, a sight that shattered German hopes and dismantled the myth of Aryan supremacy. It was the first major humiliation for the Nazis. Just as Jack Johnson had shattered the myth of white superiority, his successor Joe Louis now destroyed the myth of Aryan dominance. Schmeling couldn't withstand Louis's burning punches and fell in the first round, sending Nazi leader Hitler into a rage. He ordered the broadcast cut before the official result was announced and, upon Schmeling's return, demoted him to the front lines of the army in disgrace. The German hero had fallen from grace, reduced to an ordinary citizen, a scene that demonstrated boxing's impact on politics, sports, and society at the time. After Louis's victory, Americans of all races, backgrounds, and social classes poured into the streets to celebrate. Joe Louis had become America's first national hero, a respected champion who united the nation in pride. On December 7, 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, killing nearly 3,500 people and destroying the American fleet, prompting the U.S. to enter World War II after maintaining neutrality. Upon hearing the news, Joe Louis immediately answered the call of duty without hesitation. Despite having $1 million fight lined up, he sacrificed it to serve in the military without compensation, even donating proceeds from 2 previous fights to the war effort. While in the Army, Louis participated in exhibition matches to boost morale. However, when a superior officer objected to black soldiers attending his shows, Louis refused to perform for whites only. He filed a complaint with Washington, leading to the officer's removal, a step toward ending segregation in the military and, eventually, in American society until the Civil Rights Act of 1964. After the U.S. emerged victorious from the war, Louis found himself in an entirely different situation. How would the nation reward a hero who sacrificed everything for his country? Shockingly, he was penalized for his donations. Under tax laws at the time, any income received had to be taxed, even if donated. Louis, believing his contributions exempted him, was hit with crippling tax debts reaching $1 million. Forced out of retirement, he resorted to comedy acts and theatrical performances unbefitting a national hero just to pay off the IRS. Exhausted after 21 years in professional boxing, Louis faced a brutal comeback fight against rising star Rocky Marciano, a match predetermined in outcome. Marciano knocked out the aging Louis in the 8th round, a result that surprised no one. Louis's situation worsened after the tax authority began to collect 90% of his income, even taking $600 he inherited from his late mother. The humiliation reached unprecedented levels, forcing the fallen hero to perform in circus acts and comedic wrestling exhibitions. The legend Joe Louis died on April 12, 1981, at the age of 66. His death received only a small mention in the newspapers, a tragic end for a national hero. He died in poverty, supported in his final years by none other than his former rival, Max Schmeling. The man he once fought became a close friend, even covering his funeral expenses. The opponent he once considered an enemy turned into an unlikely ally, while those he fought for ultimately forgot him. Such is the strange nature of life.